So the initial one I talked about the export-based theory, and the other one. Now let me focus on this particular one. I'm going to focus on the radical since I've talked about the export-based theory already. I don't know. I've not seen any radical question in it for some time, but then they can bring it. Yes, I'll touch on it so that you are advising. And the radical, some people are confused whether the radical theory is just one or a lot. Now look at this one. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Please. Now the radical theory criticizes what you call the good food theory. You see, when I was explaining the good food theory, I made mention of dominance effects. Dominance effect means the core regions are extorting the hinterlands. Okay, so all the effects are in, they are like, they benefit those in the core regions. And what this radical says is that even though the idea of good food theory, propounded by William Betty, may be good, looking at the scenario where we have hinterlands or we have smaller regions bringing resources or supplying resources to the core regions will tend to take advantage. So instead of they trying to return a favor to the hinterlands, they won't do that. Rather, they will use what they have to develop their city. Okay. So there are some two people who sat down and said that now, based on what is happening, let's propound a theory. And the theories are two. So we call it a radical theories. So we look at, I'm sure there will be more than two, but we pick just two people whose theories are popular. Okay, the first one is Frank Gunda. Somebody can say Ganda or something, but Gunda. That's what they say. Ganda or Gunda, whatever be the name, it's about him. So it's Gunder. Frank Ganda. That was his first theory. Frank Ganda was like, see, because, okay, before I go, let me see, all the theories were focused on the developed countries. So they didn't focus on just the regions. They focused on the global level that by relating it to the developed countries. So all the radical theories are much focused on undeveloped countries. And the first one by Van Ganda said that if you look at the global world, because most of these underdeveloped countries have been incorporated or introduced what we call the capitalist economy. Now, what is the capitalist economy? The capitalist economy is a neoclassical economy. What's a neoclassical economy? A neoclassical economy is an economy that is controlled by demand and supply. Let me repeat. A neoclassical economy is an economy that is controlled by demand and supply. So when we get to the structural development program, that is where you see that Ghana's burden and Ghana's depreciation of the city started from that place. So they don't believe that let's government intervene. They believe that leave the markets, let the markets work. Wow, when you're then you die. So we are on the battleground. If your economy is weak, you die. If your economy is strong, you will survive. You get it. Good. So that's what Frank Ganda said, that because of what you call that kind of African countries introduced to the global markets, where we find what is called a capitalized economy, which is controlled by demand and supply. It means that if you want to supply more, you get what you call balance of payments credits. If you don't know good to supply more, you receive more than you give. You get what you call balance of payment deficits. Okay. So if that thing happens for a long time, that country that who is receiving more things, the other countries tend to develop or take control over you. Okay. And it all began with when they introduced what we call the capitalist market. So Pangunda concluded that if you want to develop or for Africa to develop, we should not be in the capitalist market, or we should not practice what we call the capitalism. You get it? Capitalism is not the best for African countries. And he made some hypotheses. So we call it hypothesis, the dependency theory. It came in the eye. They are three. This one, he didn't mention any colonization. It was the next one that they mentioned. Now we are talking about a bigger country and a smaller country. We're not talking about country that's colonized and country that's being colonized. So they are like metropolis. Metropolis stands for big countries. Now, those of you who follow the international politics and all that, we call something the G7, the Great Seven. Okay, yes, we have the great, or let me say, great nations. Okay, and we call something the weak nation. Ghana is the leader of the weak nations. We are not strong. We are corrupt too. So what we do is that the weak nations like Ghana are called satellites, and the strong poles or the strong areas are called metropolis. So the satellite tends to develop in the metropolis. Okay, so I know you know some of the hypotheses, but you can't talk about this dependency theory. I don't know how they're going to frame the question, how the question will come by. They tell you to talk about this. You can't talk about it without talking about the dependency theory. Okay, so let me see if I could mention some of the hypotheses. For you said if you are a country and if you have a strong ties with your, if you are, should I say, your satellites, and if you have a strong tie with the metropolis, you won't develop. And it's true. Ghana has strong ties with the US. Ghana has strong ties with how do you call it? Switzerland. Ghana, this is I'm talking about colonization, talking about connection, talking about that kind of friendship that exists between them. Good. So we have that kind of strong connection. These people are smart. They understand the capitalist economy and they will take advantage over you. So that's what in by the dependency theory. At the end of the day, because they understand the economy and they know how to manipulate the market, you will tend to depend on them and you become a satellite, depending on metropolis. So Pangona, like it is called a dependency theory. Are we good? That is it. Now, another point, another theory that evolved was colonialism and the development, special colonialism and the development. That one was by David Slater. David Slater. Now, David Slater was like, no, it is true that we have been introduced to the global market or the capitalized Slater, Slater, Slater or whatever, David Slater, Slate. And David Slater was like, because we have been introduced to the global market, that is why we are suffering. However, he added one more thing, that it's not only about being true to global markets, it's about the colonialism. Now, because somebody has come to colonize you, it's like some of you have exes and you are clinging to your exes. you still, you still go back to your ex. So that is what David Slater is saying. So David Slater was like, because of the colonization that happened long ago, the smaller countries or those who were colonized has been clinging to those who came to colonize us. So the colonies have been claimed. You understand? So at the end of the day, even though you know how to control your things, you know how to, but you can't control the global markets. And even after independence, we saw what we call Commonwealth of Nations, which doesn't make sense. I mean, after they have given independence, you still come a constitution of those who were colonized. For what? So they will take a look at these theories and like, nah, the mere fact that if indeed development trickle down from core regions to hinterlands, why is it that the Western countries are developed, but it's not trickling down to African countries? African countries are still underdeveloped, but it's not happening. Why? So that becomes what you call, and he mentioned so many things. So if you go, and I just open the surface to you so that you can go and read and understand it better. David Slater's own David Slater, and then Frank Goodell's theory. So if you go and read it, David Slater's own has even some phases. There are 3 phases. Okay, 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. about how the colonies has gone, even after independence. They still have group of colonized people. So that's what's meant by the radical theory. I'm not expecting it though, but then in case of emergency, so that you can, we have critics or people who criticize the dependency theory. Critics, yes. So critics are like, no, what Bangunda was saying is that he only look at the economy or the market. He didn't look at some classes or the relationship. Now some countries are very friendly. They don't share that kind of I'm your boss or I'm your master. But Bangunda is looking at only the markets. The fact that force of demand and supply. But we have plus some countries have a good relationship with the old countries. It's like that they even give some scholarships. They come and give them aid, like Ghana Beyond Aid, US aid, UK. I don't know if you've seen those things. Okay, these are examples. So these are some theories. And another theory is that, or another critique is that some African countries are destined to be poor or to always be under development. Okay, that is it. And then another critique is that the theory failed to recognize some internal issues. Now, beside the global market, if you come to Ghana here, people are corrupt. Ghana will say, some of you are doing sex for grace. So all these are serious internal issues. These are serious internal issues that they criticize from Ghanaia's dependency theory. So that is it. So any question under this one? Please, I'm done with the radical critique. I won't go there again. Do you understand, please? Professor Pamela Samuel, please, you understand? Stephanie Solomon, Tofik. That's the man of the same name.
Hello, Barrister.
Do you understand the whole theory now?
Yeah, Barrister, but he said the critics no. That's one is that some African countries are destined to be poor.
No, that okay, let me put it well. Okay, let me put
Is
it.
that what you said?
I'm not okay, let me put it well. Some people believe that no matter what we do in African countries, they will continue to be poor. Let me put it that way. Okay, let me put it that way. It's not that African countries are destined to be poor. No matter what happens in some African countries will continue to be underdeveloped, no matter what. So that is I please don't go and say that they are destined.
Bring more.
Don't go and say they are destined to be poor. You have issues. Okay,
Yes.
you can do that in your explanations. You can state that, but it shouldn't be the major point.
Okay, and like we just give 2 pair, like 3 pair, another one.
Go and read the slide, you get more. You want another? Look inside there, you get more. There are more in the slide. Okay. But if you don't understand any point, just take a screenshot from. I'll come online around 9:30, 10. So after here, I'm going to find something to. But after 10, I'll be online. Maybe you can send a message, make it straightforward. I'm sure I'll put it in there. I'll reply you. Yes. Can you elaborate on how you go around this question? Or what do you understand this? So let's quickly move to the structure adjustment program. Now, my bro, let me see if I can quickly go to the structure adjustment program. Now, what is the SAP? The last time I went through all this. Before I went through this, and I told you that the whole course in economics, we call it the Industrial Revolution of Ghana. Now, when Kwame Nkrumah gained independence, it's called post-industrial revolution of Ghana. When Kwame Nkrumah gained independence, so now Ghana has gone to what's called industrial phase. So the ERP and the SAP that we are doing the same stuff. It's part of the Industrial Revolution. Okay, so let me touch on the history a little so that we can quickly go through it, or we can quickly wrap up. Before that, because I'm tired. If you're unable to do it, and if tomorrow I get time, I can still make announcements and we go through one last lecture. We close. But I see a lot of people are pulling out. Okay, so this could be our last recording so that I wouldn't stress you because I know you're tired. Almost 2 hours. Okay. So let's go to the structural adjustment program. Now, what's the structural adjustment program? The structural adjustment program is part of the phases of industrial revolution in Ghana. When Kwame Nkrumah gained independence for Ghana, he was applying the concept of the good old theory. He was building factories in certain locations. And his main goal was that Ghana should be independent. Ghana can develop itself without any foreign aid. So Ghana beyond aid, it was Kwame Nkrumah's mainstream target when he came into government. Okay, so when he came to government, what he did was that instead of dealing with this fight, he closed the economy. When you say closed the economy, you understand closed the economy. It means you're not allowing importation of goods and services. Now, if you're importing pen, the pen will cost you 2 times more than how much the pen costs. So let's say the pen is 2 cedis. If you're importing it, you'll be paying somewhere around 6 cedis. So it even discourage you to stop importing. That was what was happening in Ghana between 1960 and 1970. Okay, so in 1973, please are you following? Be writing them so that you may kind of say a story, no, it will suit you. You won't write. So in 1973 and 1979, there was a serious economic hardship. There was a serious economic hardship in Ghana. It was a global issue, but the third world countries, I mean developing countries, especially in Latin America, Asia, and Africa, we were hit the most. So you remember what you call it, but that wasn't then. So, but then it started from 1970. From 1970 to 2079, there was a serious economic crisis globally. Economies were collapsing. People were dying. Serious diseases were coming. COVID-19 famine. So what happened was that the World Bank had to come in, and all this created what you call poor infrastructures. I go to taking note. So the aftershocks of the 1973, 1979, some of these were unemployment, balance of payment deficit, loss of job or unemployment, should I say, any bad thing, poor economic management, financial constraints, all these were critical or big issues that were happening in most of these third world countries, even though the developing countries were going through, but it was worse in most of our cases. So what happened was that the Ghana had no choice. By that time, you know the PNDC. PNDC is, I've forgotten the full name, but it's not the NDC you know now. It's not the NDC. It's not the NDC. Please go and find the full name. So, okay, provisional defense council. Okay, so that was what we call PNDC, provisional defense council. So that one, who was in government? It was J.J. Rawlings, Papa J. He was in power. So what he did was that he didn't have a choice. So he had to go to IMF and World Bank and had to beg them. So by the time everything processed and Ghana had to go to IMF, World Bank, it was around 1980. Are you following? I hope you're taking note of the date. You're making notes too. It was around 1980. So we have to resort. So we have to resort to, after we processed everything, that was, but then we were in 1980. So, but then before they could do these structural adjustment lendings to most of these African countries, there was what you call a trade policy, which was called the ERP. So if you're trying to give a historical account, you need to go through all this stuff, which is called the ERP. And the there was what you call the ERP. The ERP is what we call the Economic Recovery Program. Okay, so the Economic Recovery Program came before the SAP. So the Economic Recovery Program came in 1980 to 1983. We take note of the dates from 1980 to 1983. Okay. Okay, thank you. Somebody has given us the full meaning of PNDC, so you can say it. But it was led by that party and led a former NDC. Yes, but then they changed the full name to National Democratic Congress. Yes. So let's continue. So the ERP has some objective. It came to correct the market. Okay, it came to set prices right. These were some of the things that the ERP. These were the things that the ERP came to do. It came to correct the market. That was the one main goal. It came to make sure the prices were good, prices were set right. Because at that time, because of the serious economic issues, people were charging higher prices. People were doing illegal stuff. My father would tell you some people were even smuggling for food, Ivory Coast at that time. Okay, it was a serious issue. So government had to come in and then intervene to what you call the ERP, setting the market price, making sure the prices are stable. So the first one was what you call, they came to recover the economy from its price. They came to economy, so that's economic recovery program. Please listen on. That's what we call economic recovery program. So after the 3 years, they used 3 years to recover the economy. So between 1983 to 1987, that was when the SAP came in. So the SAP came after the ERP. So Akoya said, the ERP was, the SAP was a substantive of the ERP, in that it substanted into the SAP. So it was a gradual process. So it got a time, it was no more for ERP. It was called the SAP. It came to, so the SAP came to make sure that the economy came to work. Now that is where Ghana, our problem started. We were introduced to what we call the global markets. And then Frank Ganda was saying that at that point, instead of what Kwame Nkrumah was practicing, that let's close the economy, we open the economy. Like, we open the economy. We open the economy, such that we allow the importation of goods and services. We allow ourselves to trade with other countries. We were able to import goods. Goods that we were not able to produce. We were able to import goods that we can use to process other goods. So we're able to import capital and other stuff. Sorry, I admitted myself. So let's continue. So the SAP came to replace the ERP, and it introduced Ghana to the global market. So by this time, we could import goods and export goods too. So that was where Ghana started exporting our raw products, cocoa. Government started investing in cocoa. We started practicing what we were mining gold, but it wasn't enough. So we brought in machines that could help us mine gold and all that. So that was where all these business started. Okay, and that was the beginning of Ghana's balance of payments deficits, and that was the beginning of Ghana's debt. Yes. That was the beginning of Ghana's debt. So do you understand the whole SAP? And SAP came with its own objectives too, and its own maintenance. So the objectives of the SAP was that it came to make sure the ERP that we implemented continues through what we call sustainability. So it came to sustain the economy that we have recovered. Okay. Do we get it? Okay. Now we call something reasons. They can ask you state 4 reasons or explain 5 reasons why Ghana had to adopt the structural adjustment program. Why do you think Ghana would adjust? Because of so many issues. I'll quickly go through some of them. One, poor infrastructure. Our infrastructure was very bad. Go to government institutions, go to the private sector was quite better, but the government institutions, government schools, and all that, they were very bad. Okay, that is one of them. And another one is bush and drought. So you can hear what you call 83 from. I don't know if you are familiar with 1983. There was a serious hunger issue in Ghana. Said that we have to move from the ERP to the SAP so that we can, the sustainability, we are importing goods, we are importing even food. Yes. But then my mother would tell you, I'm sure some most of your mothers were not even born, because your mothers, yeah, your mothers were not born. Your mothers were on, let's say, now most of your mothers are 30, 35, 33 or also your mothers were not born, but me, my mother was there. So she told me that the popular meat or the popular food was a meat. So bush meat, because of the droughts, the bushfires. Okay. But when you want to get food to eat, they burnt everything in Ghana. So these are some of them. Another point is due to the fact that we have what we call poor economic management. Our leaders were bad. There was a poor economic management. Ghana had a huge debt. I hope you're writing them. Huge debt. We're owing. Yes. An inability to manage our finance or economic management. We are all part of the reasons why Ghana had to go to World Bank and IMF for the structural adjustment program. Okay, so the structural adjustment program went through phases of its implementation. So after we adopted the ERP, the SAP came, and within the SAP, we have to go through so many phases. One of them, may I term it SRL? The SRL phases. Okay. Okay. So stabilization, rehabilitation, and then liberalization. Okay. The stabilization, rehabilitation, and then liberalization. So I'll quickly touch on it and then let's go. So what do you mean by stabilization? The stabilization is that it came to stabilize what we have recovered, and it came to improve on aggregate production. So Ghana started producing things that we were not producing. We started producing agricultural products because we already imported. I told you we opened the economy, right? So we brought in capital. So we started producing a lot of things. So aggregate production of goods and services, because we had new inputs coming in. Now there are other points that this one that I need to go and read. I'm not touching on everything here because our time is almost out. Another one, the next one is rehabilitation. So wait, before I go to the light, before I go to any other point, please take note that each of these phases has the outcome. So that if the lecturer is marking, he will be looking out for the outcomes. Okay, so as you're going through solving or looking at the phases of the structural adjustment program, look out for what's called the outcome of each phase, because each phase provided a specific outcome. So if you look at the rehabilitation phase, I talk about aggregate supply. Okay, let me see if I can get the slide and then share with you all so that you can make notes from it. Some of you are just listening like I'm preaching, but they always say you're not making any notes. So I'll share the screen with you all very soon. Okay, please can you see my screen? Here we are there. Okay, so here, these are some of the achievements of the the stabilization phase. Okay, so increase in GDP, increase in GDP, increase in tariffs and all that, increase in minimum wage. So the whole GDP or the whole production, I talk about aggregate. So that's why I summarize everything. The aggregate production of this country improved. The aggregate supply, now we started producing so that we were not producing. So the main outcome of this phase will be to stimulate domestic supply. So we're able to produce things on our own. If so, Accra is producing rice, supplying to Tamale, instead of we developing on Tamale. You get it? Good to reduce imbalances so that we don't have to import goods and services. We're supplying things on our own. That's the phase one, which is called the stabilization phase. Okay. Now we call something the rehabilitation phase. Okay. So that is where we brought in what we call providing the essential raw materials and imported inputs to the productive sectors with particular emphasis on exports. Okay, so outcome is to maintain the incentive structure for eliciting high production. Okay, here we are focused on getting the raw materials we have producing, expanding what we call our communication. So here, even though yes, we are able to produce, but we need to expand it. So if you are producing at one place, we expand it to one place. And expand to one place demands that we build new roads, we build new railways. You get it? So we are trying to rehabilitate the economy, which is more like the expansion of it. After we have stabilized it, we have to expand it. Please, are we following? So this rehabilitation is more like an expanded, which include, so here we imported factors of production or the input that we are going to use in the production process. So that's only by the rehabilitation phase. And I told you about the outcome. The outcome is important. Outcome is to maintain the incentive structure for eliciting higher production and enhancement of human capacities in the social sphere. So we want to boost production. We want to produce how we used to do. So how do we do it? It demands that the capital we have, we expand it. We want to train our human capital. What do? We have to build a school like KN University. You have to start building other tertiary institutions beside Lego. You get it? That's by rehabilitation phase. Now, the liberalization phase is a full movement of Ghana into the global market. So after you have stabilized the economy, you are able to produce goods and services internally. What do? You start trading in the global market. So this is where Ghana started introducing the global market, and we started what we call exportation. So we started exporting goods and services. So these are the phases. So please, you need to understand. They can say, I've seen the Pasco. Describe the 3 phases of the SAP. Now you need to talk about achievement under each phase and talk about the outcome. You can't talk about a phase without touching on the outcome. So here, look at the outcome. They achieve competitive development through exports. Okay. So here, we started exporting goods and services, and we started achieving development because we are going to get revenue. The revenue is being channeled into production and expansion of the existing ones. Okay, that is it. Oh, it is raining. Sorry. You'll be fine. So now they can ask you, what are the achievements of the structural adjustment program? You see, I mentioned the reasons why Ghana went to the SAP, right? Infrastructure, poor economic management, bushfires, and so if you want to look at how successful or fall in GDP, they were all part of it. I want to look at, or how did the SAP benefited Ghanaians? You can look at the opposite of how Ghana were going through. So after we implemented the SAP, all those problems that we were facing, poor infrastructure, financial difficulties, GDP per capita, or GDP fell in GDP, it improved. So we had the positive side of our problems. Is are you following? Good. And then we have the negative side too. Negative side. This one is a written assignment I'm giving to you. Negative side of the. Let me go to the let me try if I can. So new patterns of poverty, vulnerability, and food insecurity. Anytime IMF comes in, anytime World Bank comes in, the reason why Ghana we always fight IMF because IMF will come with their own what you call conditions. Employ these people. If you see the government has frozen 2023 job, you get it. All these are policies that IMF can say, don't employ anybody this year. So when it happens that way, somebody who has completed school or somebody who has invested in you will be expected that after school you get job. But anyway, you complete school and come and stay in the house. So they are all issues, or some of the issues that is created. Paralysis of the public services, cash and carry in health. So as far as they used to have what you call, it wasn't health insurance, but then it was something like forgetting the name, or you have a training for it. If you are sick and you go back there, even if you can't pay, you use something to compensate for it. Okay, but the SAP came to remove all those things. If you don't have money, we won't take care of you. Then people will die. Education for the rich. So they are here. Subsidy removals. They were giving agriculture fertilizers to farmers every year. Rollins time, before Rollins was, what do you mean? Kwame Nkrumah was giving fertilizers to farmers and even giving farmers allowances, but they came to cancel all that. So these were all subsidy, lots of employment in state sector. So some people lost their jobs. You have to lay off some people and all that. So this is the structure yet program and how to go around it. I'm sure there'll be a question from here. And I'm sure if you go to it, I'm just giving you the skeletal part of it. Go and add the flesh, the body. If you don't understand anything, you can send a message. I'll reply it. Please, any question? Any question? No question. Any question? Okay. In the absence of any question, we call it a day. And thank you all for joining.
Barrister, please post it. Barrister, please post it on your YouTube channel. Okay.
Yes.
Barrister, please, I have a question.
The time is almost up.
Yeah, please. You see, the past question you posted, there was this question I wanted you to address. Please, can you just go through small short for me?
Yeah, I could. We have less than 1 minute.
Less than 1 minute.
Thank him the question personally. Barrister, please, can you post it on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I'll share the link on the platform so you can have access. Okay.
Okay, thank you.